What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel where today we are doing a fantasy draft, this time from pick number 7. So we're going to see how this thing falls. Only a $5 draft today. We see Bijan go at the 101. Not a surprise there. Some people have preference of running back over wide receiver. This league in particular, we are looking at a one quarterback, two running back, two wide receiver, one tight end, two flex. So I believe in running back superiority. Jamar Chase going at the 103 is very surprising, but I did expect to see quite a bit of running backs going in the first 5 or 6 picks. I wouldn't be surprised if you see somebody like an Ashton Gianti go here. I've seen it happen quite a bit, actually a little too rich for my blood personally, but I can understand the want for it. Justin Jefferson going at 5 there. And it looks like I'm going to get, one of the two guys that I want for sure. CeeDee Lamb and Derrick Henry are who I'm looking at. He goes CeeDee Lamb. Here at the 107, I really want to, go double running back. See where things fall in the second round. I want to guarantee myself having a good running back to start with. I think that Derrick Henry's floor among all of the running backs available is the highest, so he is the easiest pick for me here. And I would love to get another running back on the way back. Amon-Ra St. Brown goes at the 108. I think that he's going to have a down year this year. He's going to see a lot of targets. However, I'd love to see what the Lions offense does with Amon-Ra St. Brown, along with Jahmyr Gibbs, Sam Laporta, and Jameson Williams. A ton of mouths to feed. I don't know how that's going to go. Hopefully similar to last year, but Amon-Ra scored on 8.5% of his targets last year. I expect that to go down greatly. Ashton Gianti going at the 9. I still don't believe in choosing Ashton Gianti over a guy like Christian McCaffrey. I think that's absolutely insane for him to go at the 109. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But 49ers fan getting CMC, repping the 49ers. Malik Neighbors going at the 111, currently dealing with a back injury. Kind of curious to see what's going to happen with that. He returned to practice on Tuesday, but he has been dealing with some tightness. You see here, 112. This is a position I love to be in. If I'm at the 112, I love being able to grab a back-to-back, running back duo like Bucky Irving, Chase Brown. However, it is absolutely insane to me that Devon Achane has been passed over in favor for Bucky Irving. I don't think that is a viable... I don't think that that's a good choice for me personally, at least. I don't think that Bucky Irving is quite on the same level as Chase Brown and Devon Achane, and it's actually crazy to me. Derrick Henry, I can stand here and get Devon Achane, or I can go ahead and I can guarantee myself. Again, I'm a big floor guy. I think Devon Achane is a great pick here. However, I have a lot of Devon Achane, and I kind of want to do something different. I'm going to go Josh Jacobs. The reason I'm going Josh Jacobs is because I think that he is going to see a very large amount of touches. There's not really a backfield behind him that is going to threaten his workload. And I feel the same way with Derrick Henry. I think that these are two guys that are going to be heavy producers in their offenses, and being able to grab two of the top running backs in the first 2 rounds, gotta love it. You can always grab a receiver in the later rounds. You see here in the second round, Brian Thomas and Nico Collins fall to the second round. AJ Brown goes before Puka Nacua. Amon-Ra St. Brown and Puka is not a bad combination. Jonathan Taylor going with CeeDee Lamb. I don't hate it in Jefferson getting Devon Achane. you see now more and more running backs. There is going to be a level where the running backs certainly fall off. I think that after Devon Achane, it falls off just a little bit. There are a couple of guys that I'm looking at. Josh Allen, first quarterback off the board, going to match up with Tyreek Hill and Bijan Robinson. Interesting trio there. As we see number 2, Jahmyr Gibbs and Ladd McConkey. Who is he going to take? I'm honestly fully expecting a receiver. Brock Bowers being there still in the 3rd round is quite a shock to me, considering that he is usually going around this range. And you see here Brock Bowers goes. Jamar Chase gets the number 1 receiver, the number 1 tight end off the board. I personally would never go tight end, probably within the first 4 or 5 rounds. I don't really have any interest in Brock Bowers whatsoever, because I know that he's on a poor Raiders offense. And I think that you can just find the same amount of value from a tight end like George Kittle or even Travis Kelce later in the rounds. Trey McBride, same thing, just wouldn't do it. There are other players that I much rather have here. I'm looking at guys like, T. Higgins here is absolutely incredible. I could go with Lamar Jackson, but I think grabbing a wide receiver here is a good option for me. As you see Amari and Hampton going. I thought about Kamara. I really did. I really, really, really thought about triple stacking the running back position, but once I saw T. Higgins there, I think that the Bengals are going to have an absolutely huge offensive year, and T. Higgins is going to be a massive part of that. So being able to get him here and potentially, match him up with Joe Burrow, depending on how things fall, I'm probably not going to spend a 4th round pick grabbing a quarterback, especially when you have 4 running backs here. See, this is kind of the thought process that I began with, and grabbing Kamara here probably would have been the best bet. I could have gone that route, but still very happy with my wide receiver choice. Tight end's going quite early here. I'm still looking at like 62 Travis Kelce. You can always find value in Travis Kelce. He, even in his off year last year, he was still the tight end 5. He is just a security blanket. It's going to be one of Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be Patrick Mahomes' favorite receiver. We all know this. It's been established. I don't care how old he is. As long as he's in the league, he's just going to be that guy. Don't like the fact that T. Higgins, now that I think about it, T. Higgins being my number 1 quote-unquote receiver as a number 2 receiver in his own offense, kind of throws up some question marks. DK Metcalf is somebody that I would have loved to have at the 4-6. Don't like Garrett Wilson at all. I think that both he and Breece Hall are set to play poorly this year. I think it's just bound to happen. I could go here, put together Joe Burrow with his quarterback T. Higgins, get the stack, but do I want to expend a 4th round pick on that? I don't think that I do. I would much rather have Marvin Harrison Jr., who I believe is going to have a major step up this year. I think Kyler Murray is going to find him more often. I think he's going to win more matchups. I think that Marvin Harrison Jr., while being, I wouldn't say a joke, but he just didn't quite live up to the same kind of expectations that we had for somebody who was supposed to be a generational talent coming out of college. I'm expecting big things from him this year. And I wanted to make sure that I grabbed a number 1 receiver. Again, there is still tons of receivers here. Xavier Worthy definitely would never touch with a, 12-foot pole, 5-foot pole, any foot pole. Like, I'm no interest whatsoever in the Kansas City wide receiver room, as odd as that is to say. Just too many variables, too many question marks. I don't know who I want to believe in. I don't think that Xavier Worthy is a true wide receiver one by any means. He's, very small, very fast, albeit. Wow, DeAndre Swift. I thought I'd probably be able to get DeAndre Swift here. I'm very shocked to see DeAndre Swift going ahead of Isaiah Pacheco and right behind James Conner. That kind of throws a wrench in a couple of different things for me. Because I would still like to get a running back, if at all possible. Probably looking at a guy. I could have grabbed Burrow, let Jamar Chase stack him. Thought about it, didn't really want to do it. I'm kind of looking at Kyler Murray more now, to match up with Marvin Harrison Jr. because I do think that they're going to take a step forward this year. So now looking at my options, I still want a running back. I don't like any of the receivers here, pretty much. I don't like pretty much any of them, except for Jameson Williams, who I'm going to go with here. And then what I plan on doing on the way around, is, you see here, we're scrolling down the list. We want to target guys like Calvin Ridley. We want to target guys like Jerry Jeudy. I want to get guys like Jacoby Myers. McMillan is somebody that I thought about going with. I think that Jameson Williams is going to have a monstrous year. And for that reason, we can probably match Jared Goff with him. Or we can grab Murray. There's a couple of really, really great options. But I do think that we are going to see a couple of running backs probably come off the board between the end of this round and getting back to me. I'd be surprised to see Hurt season not go receiver. I do like the fact that he has so many running backs, or at least I don't hate it, especially with how many flex spots we have. Perfect amount. And he can still grab a wide receiver one here if he so chooses to. A guy like Jerry Jeudy, a guy like Calvin Ridley are guys that I would be looking at if I were him. As you can see there, Calvin Ridley goes. He may also be looking at a guy like Sam Laporta, who is a top tight end, still tight end 4 going off the board. Ricky Pearsall going very early. I thought, I might have a chance to be able to get him. He's rising up a lot of people's draft ranks lately, and I still think that he's being severely undervalued, as we discuss, and all the receivers start to go off the board that I was discussing. Jerry Jeudy, Ricky Pearsall. We're not playing with any, dudes that don't play fantasy. You can tell that these guys know exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're talking about because they're targeting, they're targeting the right guys. As you see there, grab Aaron Jones. Thought about going to Laporta. If Laporta gets back to me, I probably will go Laporta. Because I think that he's just falling way, way too far down. We're looking at pick, 68 now. And he's just continuously falling. And it doesn't hurt to have one of the top tight ends in the league. Travis Kelce, again, is another option. If Hawkinson or Laporta were to go off, I would, obviously consider going Travis Kelce because I feel like he's just going to continue to be, I don't need him to be number one anymore. Like, that's just, that's just the truth. I don't need him to be number one. I can be fully satisfied with him being, tight end 5 and me getting him, pretty far down the draft board. That's completely fine by me. We look here. Let's start looking at some of these teams. Team 1, I don't really like DJ Moore. I don't really like Pacheco. I do like the first 2 picks, not so much the next 3. Gibbs and McConkey are amazing. Hurts is going to benefit from so many tush pushes still. DeAndre Swift, I think, will be severely underrated. Courtland Sutton will continue to, play well. Jacoby Myers is going to have a shockingly good year, I feel like, in that Raiders offense. And for him to be a wide receiver 1 and go at the 6'11", I feel is absolutely absurd. Jamar Chase, Brock Bowers, Joe Burrow, huge. Kyron Williams, huge. I think that this is probably the best team so far. I would say with my team included, obviously, I'm going to have some sort of bias, but I would say he's covered on wide receiver 1. He has a tight end 1. He has a top 10 running back. I think that his biggest weakness is probably going to be his receiver. He may have needed another receiver. I don't think anybody expected. Look at this, major run of receivers in the last 2 rounds. So he kind of screws himself up in that aspect there. I said it. I don't know if I want to go double Detroit and rely. Kelsey and Njoku go absolutely insane. But I'm going to go Laporta. I think, falling almost 30 picks. 30 picks is, quite the insane amount of value. And I don't plan on, taking either one of these quarterbacks. I feel like Springer, maybe Hookah, Hurtseason, they might be looking either with this pick or the pick on the way back at a potential quarterback. I am currently looking at, I don't want Brian Robinson. I'm looking at Jared Goff. Honestly, I could have waited a little bit longer, maybe gotten Tyler Warren. Baker Mayfield does go. Emeka Egbuka, I really love his receiver core. However, he has no running backs, and I feel like if he doesn't grab a running back right now, he is going to, for as amazing as his receivers are, he has Lamar Jackson. Obviously, Christian McCaffrey is a beast. He needs to grab either a Tyrone Tracy or a Jaylen Warren, who Jaylen Warren goes, so he gets both of them, and he stacks up the receivers. I don't know about that one. You're running out of starting running backs. There really aren't that many left. Tyler Warren, I pretty much get my pick here. Honestly, I'm still good on the quarterbacks. Definitely going to invest. I believe I want to invest in a running back here. Now that Warren is gone, I'm probably going to lean toward Tyrone Tracy. I think that he has had a phenomenal season last year to end the season. I think he's only going to improve on that. I don't think that Cam Scatterbo should be as high as he is. He should not be going as close to Tyrone Tracy as he is. I think he has firm control over the backfield at the moment. And I think he'll continue to have, that control. Played last week, 39 yards. Wasn't targeted in the passing game, but he did get a goal line carry. Devin Singletary is his backup. I'm not too worried about that. And, again, Scatterbo, not too worried about. He's dealing with an injury. I think Tyrone Tracy here, especially at the 8-6, absolutely insane value. We only have about 6 picks left. Kyler Murray goes. which is fine. I think I'm more leaning toward a Jared Goff here. Although if Bo Nix did get to me, I'd maybe have to have a conversation exclusively because of his rushing upside. Otherwise, I'm, perfectly fine with waiting and getting like a Brock Purdy a little bit later, a Justin Herbert, somebody, that these are two guys that I can entrust in continuously having, scoring a good amount of points. You're not going to see any of these first four guys take a quarterback probably. And How to Eat also doesn't have a quarterback. Oh, Zach Charbonnet finally goes. Can still grab a good running back here. There's still some good options here at running back, at receiver. When is a good option to go and grab a Brandon Ayuk and put him on your injured reserve? Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt, insane. He's going to be an insane fantasy piece. I feel like you can already tell that Brian Robinson is on his way out. You can tell, especially because he's still here, that he's going to be on his way out. How to Eat going down to his last 8 seconds. Grabs Bo Nix, which I pretty much expected, and Jared Goff goes right before me. Wow. Okay, so that changes things a little bit because I don't want any part of, that at all. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab Josh Downs. I didn't want to grab a quarterback. I feel like I can still, you got 2 quarterbacks here. You got, How to Eat now with a quarterback. Everybody in front of me has a quarterback. And then there's only 2 teams behind me that don't have a quarterback. Worst case scenario, you grab a guy like Dak Prescott. You grab a guy like, Caleb Williams, who I think is going to have an exceptionally better year this year. So, worrying about my flex isn't the worst thing in the world. Evan Ingram is somebody that I'm really going to be looking at on this turn back. I'm surprised that he isn't gone. I'm surprised that Najee Harris gets taken with his eye issue. Jerome Ford seems like he may be losing the backfield. I don't know, guys. I feel like I may have a very well-rounded team. I think if I can grab a quarterback on the way back, if I can get either Justin Herbert or Brock Purdy, Dak Prescott goes. So you're getting another quarterback off the board. Still not going to grab a quarterback. Jaden Higgins, Keon Coleman. He is of the same mindset of me. Not really a point in grabbing a top quarterback, at the moment, if there are players that you'd much rather have and you feel like you can find value in the quarterback position later on because everybody's already blowing their quarterback load. And it's crazy that I just don't feel, I don't feel like I hate it. I don't feel like I've hated my team at all. I feel like I've drafted very well. I feel like things have fallen, pretty well in my favor in terms of where certain players have gone and how my draft has resulted compared to others. And I'm going to go ahead on this pick, and I'm going to grab Brock Purdy. Easiest schedule in the league, the San Francisco 49ers. Brock Purdy is going to absolutely feast this year. I'm perfectly fine taking him as my quarterback 1. I very, very highly view him as a top 10 quarterback in fantasy this year. I don't even think there's a question about it, honestly. So being able to get Brock Purdy, who I think is absolutely going to feast in fantasy, and adding him to a team that has, 4 starting running backs, Derrick Henry and Josh Jacobs, I'm in love with. Aaron Jones is very versatile, both in the passing game and in the running game. I think he's going to be a major asset to my team. And then having guys like Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jameson Williams, who have big playability, and T. Higgins, who, hasn't been the healthiest. I'm definitely taking a risk because he hasn't been the healthiest, but when he does play, he is absolutely phenomenal. He's on an offense that's going to be incredible. Sam Laporta was the tight end 1, his rookie year, still tight end 8 last year, so he's going to, continue to be serviceable. I grabbed him as the tight end 6, so, I'm not too worried about that. Made sure to get a good one. Josh Downs, definitely going to benefit from having Daniel Jones at quarterback. He's going to be absolutely amazing. Tempted here to take Kyle Pitts. Darnell Mooney is also an option. But, again, I'm a very firm believer in the running back dominance. I think that Nick Chubb is going to kind of cook this year for Houston, especially if Joe Mixon misses a severe amount of time, which he could be on the physically unable to perform list to begin the 2025 season. He is going to be out. Getting Nick Chubb here, even for a few weeks, could be super valuable. This is not a Houston offense that's, anything to scoff at. And, he could very well go off for 15, 16 points a week. 4 rounds left. Need to grab another tight end. Need to grab another quarterback. Caleb Williams, somebody that I'm looking at for a backup quarterback. Again, Kyle Pitts, somebody that I'm looking at for a backup tight end. These are, Zach Ertz also available. These are guys that I really, really like. Brenton Strange also available. And I don't really see a ton that I like. I may go Garendo. If Garendo is still available when he gets back to me, I feel like Slice would love to have the handcuff. I think that Garendo in this offense, if McCaffrey does get hurt, he could be an absolute game changer, league winner. So definitely looking at that. Also looking at a guy like Darnell Mooney here, was really great for Atlanta last year when he played. Had a lot of target share, to my surprise. Trey Harris, also somebody that I'm interested in. I think that he could easily be a very good fantasy asset for the Chargers, and, not even just fantasy, just in real life. He's an absolutely incredible player. Caleb Williams goes first, so that definitely changes absolutely nothing for me. I could grab CJ Stroud. Don't really have anybody to match with. I'm actually going to go Kyle Pitts here. I'm going to grab my backup tight end, and there's a reason that I'm going to do that, because I actually feel like somebody like Michael Penix is going to be a sleeper this year. Trevor Lawrence is going to be a sleeper this year. If Michael Penix is available, I'm looking at potentially bringing him in. I think that this is going to be a very good Atlanta offense, and I honestly want tons of parts of it. But, could also end up getting, if Drake May comes, might have to consider it. Definitely guess not. Jordan Love is not somebody that I hate. I think that he could easily get back to his, previous form. Trevor Lawrence, also somebody that I don't hate. Shockingly good at fantasy. Kind of reminds me of Blake Bortles. If everybody remembers that 2018 Blake Bortles run where he was just absolutely fantasy dominant. Trevor Lawrence, to some extent, kind of reminds me of him. Always serviceable for some reason. Shedeur Sanders going over Matthew Stafford is absolutely insane, and people should feel ridiculous for ever doing that. I can still grab CJ Stroud here. I can still grab CJ Stroud here. I can still grab Garendo here, and that's more important. Garendo falls another round. I wasn't ready to pull the trigger on Garendo, but seeing him fall to me in the 13th, I think is absolutely insane. I'm a 49ers fan, as you can clearly tell. McCaffrey, I don't know how injured he's going to be. I don't know what his health is looking like. Everybody says that he's healthy. There's only one, way to find out. And that's to see him play in a game. And we're not going to see that till week 1. So we'll see what happens. But I want every part of his handcuff in Garendo. I think Garendo, if he were to step in, would absolutely dominate fantasy. So we'll take every part of that. Here on the way back, I'm looking at either adding a receiver. I believe if Trey Harris makes it back to me, I'll have a conversation with myself about going the wide receiver route, because I don't feel like he should be here still. And frankly, I feel like the Chargers are going to be very good. I'm a big fan of Harbaugh. Obviously, I think he's a very good coach. Another option that I could go is go another running back. I am only at 4 receivers, and 2 of them are on bye the same week. So another option, you definitely want to keep a receiver in mind. But another option is I could go Tyler Algier. Tyler Algier, somebody that continuously receives carries in the Atlanta offense for some reason. They firmly believe in him. He is available here. For quarterbacks, I think I'm gonna grab my quarterback. I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab my guy Michael Penix. Underrated, severely underrated. Definitely could have taken Trey Harris here, but I definitely wanted to get my quarterback because Pack Dog only has 1, Falcons only has 1. I felt like if I didn't grab one here, How to Eat only has 1. If I didn't grab one here, I was going to be left with the crumbs. Probably I could have grabbed Tua, I could have grabbed Aaron Rodgers, I could have grabbed Sam Darnold. Didn't want to really take that, didn't really like all the players that were going around this range. And frankly, I just kind of want to use my last one on a dart throw. Somebody that I feel like could be absolutely incredible. But we're going to have to see. I haven't seen... Christian Kirk actually went way earlier. Brenton Strange goes. Tyler Algier is still here. I'd almost be tempted as well to potentially grab Zach Ertz with my last pick. This is a guy that literally last year, kind of had a semi-career resurgence after, 2 failed years in Arizona because of Trey McBride. Could very well be a fantasy producer. Not going to get to know that, though, because Zach Ertz goes before, and so does Tyler Algier. So, we are going to look elsewhere. And I almost want to, just kind of throw a dart out there. I'm not really sure. Um, I might just pick up another quarterback. I'm gonna grab Aaron Rodgers. I'm gonna go double quarterback at the end. I didn't like anybody that was left. I wasn't a huge fan of anybody that was left, and this way I can guarantee that I have 3 decent quarterbacks. Um, yeah, and that's gonna be it, guys. Thank you guys for joining me on this, and I love just having random drafts. If you guys like this video and you guys want to see more videos like this, smash that like button, comment if you're new here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Oh, and let me know, who do you think had the best draft down in the comment section below. Peace.